Have you ever felt pumped to improve yourself one day, but then completely lost that motivation the next? It's a struggle we all face, and it can make the journey to self-improvement feel impossible. You know, I truly believe that motivation is the heart of self-improvement. Without it, we're just floating aimlessly, never really making any progress. As the great Zig Ziglar once said, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Today, I want to talk about the power of motivation and how it can transform our lives. We'll explore some incredible stories of people who overcame incredible odds through sheer motivation, and we'll discuss what we can learn from their experiences. By the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of how motivation can drive your self-improvement journey, and you'll be inspired to reflect on what drives you. I think we've all seen people who seem to have an unstoppable drive, people who just get stuff done no matter what obstacles are in their way. Take, for example, the story of Nick Vujicic, a guy born without arms or legs. He could have easily given up, but instead, he's become a motivational speaker, inspiring millions around the world. I know what you're thinking, but that's Nick Vujicic, he's an exception. And you're right, he is an exception, but his story is not unique. I've met people who have overcome incredible challenges, from poverty to addiction to abuse, all because they found a spark of motivation that drove them forward. Think about it, when we're motivated, we're more focused, more disciplined, and more resilient. We're willing to take risks and push ourselves outside of our comfort zones. And that's exactly what the people I'm going to share with you today did. Like the story of J.K. Rowling, who went from being a single mother living on welfare to becoming one of the most successful authors in the world. She was motivated by her desire to provide for her daughter and to tell a story that would inspire others. Or the story of Stephen Hawking, who was diagnosed with a motor neuron disease at the age of 21. He was given just a few years to live, but he was motivated to make a difference in the world, and he went on to live for more than 50 years, making groundbreaking contributions to physics. As Les Brown once said, you don't get what you want, you get what you're committed to. These individuals were committed to their goals, and their motivation drove them to achieve the impossible. So, what was the pivotal moment that sparked this motivation in these individuals? For Nick Vujicic, it was the realization that he had a purpose, that he could inspire others through his story. For J.K. Rowling, it was the desire to provide for her daughter. For Stephen Hawking, it was the determination to make a difference in the world despite his physical limitations. In each of their stories, there was a moment when they decided to take control, to focus on what they could do rather than what they couldn't. And that's when everything changed. They began to make progress, to achieve small wins, and to build momentum. As Tony Robbins says, the past does not equal the future unless you live there. These individuals refused to be held back by their circumstances. They were motivated to create a better future for themselves, and their stories are a testament to the power of motivation. So, what happened after these individuals achieved their goals? Did they just rest on their laurels and enjoy the fruits of their labor? Not at all. They continued to be driven by their motivation, to push themselves to new heights, and to inspire others to do the same. For Nick Vujicic, it's about spreading his message of hope and positivity to as many people as possible. For J.K. Rowling, it's about using her platform to make a difference in the world. For Stephen Hawking, it was about continuing to explore the mysteries of the universe, even as his physical body failed him. Their stories are a reminder that motivation is not just about achieving a goal, it's about sustaining that motivation over time, even when the going gets tough. As the great Nelson Mandela said, the greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. So, what can we learn from these incredible stories of motivation? We can learn that motivation is what drives us to take action, to push ourselves outside of our comfort zones, and to achieve our goals. We can learn that motivation is what helps us to overcome obstacles, to persist in the face of adversity, and to rise above our challenges. And we can learn that motivation is what inspires us to be our best selves, to make a difference in the world, and to leave a lasting impact. As the great Aristotle once said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. So, I want to leave you with a challenge today. Take a few minutes to reflect on what motivates you. What drives you to get out of bed in the morning? What inspires you to take action? What gets you excited about life? In the comments below, I'd love to hear from you. What motivates you? Share your story, share your struggles, and share your triumphs. And if you want to learn more about self-improvement strategies, be sure to check out my next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.